This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
All right, Peg, you ready to go?
We are. You know, it's great to be here on this cool Saturday morning.
Yes. Welcome to
afternoon,
fall
I guess.
/ winter.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah. I'm ready for some snow. How about you?
Yes, me too.
Oh, yeah.
Me
if it's
too.
going to be chilly, let's have a half foot of snow on the
And
ground.
now Alan is
Alan's
sitting here
shaking
saying
his
no.
head.
No.
Alan, our esteemed producer,
He's
is
saying
shaking
no,
his
no,
head.
no.
Heck no.
Absolutely not.
Oh, he speaks.
I am ready for
Sorry,
snow.
I had to speak
That's
up
okay.
on
I like it.
no.
Anti-snow person. I actually dig it. I like it.
If it's going to be cold, let's have it snow.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, none of this wishy-washy stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, no, black, white. Yeah. Snow.
So we'll welcome, and Pete and I are business coaches. We help you every Saturday with ideas and strategies on how to help grow your business, how to personally grow, and how to just be a better leader and or manager.
Well said. I
Well
agree.
said.
Yeah.
You agree? Yes.
Yeah. We're business coaches. We're also executive coaches. Our topic today is the master coach.
Okay, and so
That's the title,
What are we?
Alan.
I know we're gonna. The title is the master coach, but what are some of the things to our listeners? Say, okay, what am I going to get
If
out
you're
of
a
this?
business owner or the manager of a big department, this book called The Master Coach by Greg Thompson, and we do this every day of the week with our clients to help them grow their firms and grow their employees within their firms. We also help our business owners who are clients of ours become coaches for their employees, and that's a key aspect of it. We help them to deal with their own challenges and struggles, and also help them help others deal with their challenges and struggles. And if we can do that in a more efficient way, it helps everybody. It helps the company, it helps the individuals, and it helps the economy.
There we go. I love it. Okay, but before we do that, Pete, what's our next step?
Oh, man, we have some good news, and there's a lot of it, but I'll whip through it. But we have tons of good news.
Well, I want to hear the good news.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do good news because you know what? There's a lot of great things happening. Let's focus on what's going good, not who's murdering who or who is doing
The
bad
Browns
things.
have won 2 football games this year. I mean, is that not good news?
We've improved by what?
Now, I'm a Bengals fan, but I'm cheering for the Browns.
I think I am too.
Because
and we've doubled
they've
our
been an
results.
underdog, like big
They've
time.
been an underdog
I mean, to
way
talk
too
about
long.
an underdog, my goodness.
They've been an underdog.
And they're showing some life.
Way
It's
too
cool.
long. Okay.
So some good news. One, and you guys have heard this before, but I'm going to say it again. Job openings exceed the number of unemployed workers. Unfilled jobs in the U.S. exceed the number of unemployed Americans by more than 1 million as the summer's ended. There's seasonally adjusted 7.01 million job openings on the last day of September. It compares with 5.96 jobless Americans. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Now, not everybody can match every job, so there's some probably skill differences here and there.
Right.
But it's just telling us that the unemployment is at a 49-year low
Wow.
of 3.7%.
Things are going well.
I mean, 49 years.
Things are going well. What else, Pete?
U.S. jobless claims dropped last week again to a seasonally adjusted 214,000 people.
I see all these, you know what, to give you a picture, so Pete has all these little newspaper clippings cut out in front of him. I love the
it's
visual.
Fun. Now, here's a fun one. I mean, fun because nothing bad happened really, but Sydney, Australia. We've been to Sydney a couple of times.
We were just there, yes.
BHP Billiton is a company that digs ore, so iron ore mines in Western Australia. Well, what happened is they had a train. You've seen those movies where a runaway train?
Right.
There's been a bunch of movies about
Like
that.
Silver Streak
Subway
was one.
trains and all this kind of stuff. Monday's journey is meant to be a regular trip from Western
Wait, what was that? I heard what was
Monday's journey was meant to be a regular rail trip from BHP's iron ore mines in Western Australia. But when the driver disembarked to inspect one of the wagons loaded with ore, the train that wasn't properly secured, human error, began to roll away. It took off and in 50 minutes traveled 57 miles across desert terrain where vast distances separate communities. With the train running out of control, the folks in Perth took action 800 miles away. They activated some remote-controlled switches and derailed it into the desert.
Oh, my
I mean, it's just like a
goodness. That is like a movie. Oh, my gosh, the
This
expense.
gigantic freight train. Oh, yeah. Oh, big expense. They don't say anything about expense. But
The expense.
oh, man, somebody's in trouble.
I think he
right?
lost his
you
job.
forgot to set the parking brake, right?
That poor guy, he lost his job.
probably got in a little trouble.
I think he got in a little trouble. Do you think he
Anyway.
got pulled into an office?
He probably did. Yeah, or, he's in Western Australia. They might feed you to a centipede or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy animals
I'd say,
out there.
sometimes, we need to hold people accountable. that would be a...
We talked to our business owners
whoopsie.
about the value of following procedures. Well, set the parking brake, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Or put the wheel chocks on. Okay, so ozone layer is healing. Now, this is a great article.
Oh,
it's a little tiny one. Earth's protective ozone layer is finally healing from damage caused by aerosol sprays and coolants. The ozone layer had been thinning since the 70s. Scientists raised the alarm, blah, blah, blah. We did a lot of things. And they're saying that it is healing itself. According to an assessment released Monday at a conference in Ecuador, Southern Hemisphere is lagging a bit, and its layer should be healed by the middle of the mid-century. So we had a big environmental issue, and it's fixing itself.
Well, did we do things to fix it?
Oh, absolutely. We stopped making chlorofluorocarbons, which I was unfortunately, I must admit this, I worked in a factory when I first got out of college that made carbon tetrachloride, which is used to make refrigerant, which was one of the things that they banned, right? So we made 300 tons a day of that stuff. But that was before we knew how bad it was, right?
Oh, interesting. So Pete, what you don't know is Pete is a chemical engineer,
Yes.
so that's how he knows this so well.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. So some of the things that we as a world,
We took action.
Yeah, we took action.
Yeah, exactly. And banned some substances. And by doing that, it's allowing the ozone layer to repair itself, which protects us from ultraviolet rays, which reduces cancer.
So it's all good.
stuff.
That's a
right?
good.
I mean,
that's
cool,
my
man.
favorite news for the month.
Isn't that interesting?
That's my favorite news for the month because I like that. I like that we
Okay.
saw a problem, we created a solution, and now we see a result.
Yeah. See, when we actually talk to each other, look what happens.
Look at that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay. Oh, you have one more?
Oh, yeah. So Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin. Now, you guys may have heard about this. Foxconn is a company in China that is a manufacturing company. They agreed to build a factory in Wisconsin. And they're working on it, but they're now starting to get worried about not having enough people to run the place. They're going to need 13,000 people, factory workers, engineers, and business support people. And, they're working on it, but the economic numbers, the dollar amount that they're spending on this plant, it's just crazy.
That they're spending on the plant?
It's good news, but since the unemployment rate's so low, Wisconsin's jobless rate is 3%. Ours, the national average is 3.7. Theirs is only 3.
Oh, my.
Anyway, so it's cool.
It's good.
But they're looking for School of Engineering. They're talking about needing lots of engineers. So I'm thinking of Allie, your daughter,
Yes.
who's going into engineering school.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they're going to need her.
So, phew.
She better
the
hurry.
the last funny one is office workers have a major hang-up. These desk phones that we have all had on our desks?
Yes.
A lot of people don't want to use them, right?
Right.
And there's a little clip in here about this guy who's 40 years old who unplugged his desk phone and stuck it in a drawer. Well, about a month later, a manager came visit him and said, "You put that thing back. You have to have a desk phone."
Why did he have to have a desk
I
phone?
don't know, because it's like that's what they want.
Well, I guess if it's your source of communication, where your interdepartmental communication and your voicemail and it's business, I can see that.
There's a lady named Hunter Haig, started as a sales assistant and a publisher in Toronto. She's 25 years old. She repeatedly answering her ringing desktop phone to find that no one was there. After 2 weeks, she realized her handset was disconnected from the phone. So there's some issues, with millennials figuring out how to use a desk phone.
How do I dial?
Anyway.
You know what we should do is put a rotary phone just to see what they would do.
Oh, man.
I
don't know what they'd do.
Yeah, but they probably know.
They probably know what a rotary phone
Well, it
is.
was interesting, just to tell some perspective. Lauren and I were watching TV the other day, and she was talking about some shows that she would watch as a kid, like Zack and Cody, or The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, or Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
And she goes, and then there's this one called Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. That's a remake
Never
of a
heard
movie.
of that one.
Well, it's a remake of when I was a kid. Sigmund and the Sea Monsters was a series, like a cartoon.
Really?
I loved it. I go,
Never
I
heard
used
of
to
that.
love that. And she goes, well, what kind of shows, Mom, did you listen to? And I said, I watch. And I said, well, I watched Gilligan's Island. I remember loving Gilligan's Island.
was hilarious. I thought that was
She's
hilarious.
never heard of it.
She's never heard of Gilligan's Island?
Never heard of it, Gilligan's Island. She goes, now, what is it about? And I was like, oh, my gosh, how quickly.
Well, that's awful. We should
know.
set her down
You
and
gotta set her
have
down.
her listen to that stuff.
Gilligan's Island. Boy, we could probably do a call-in show of what is your
people.
favorite.
Well, Alan, what's your favorite top two old shows?
I remember HR Puffin stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love
Banana
Puffin stuff.
Splits.
Splints. Right?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was thinking about TV shows,
I was thinking that. Remember
those
that?
are Saturday morning shows.
I like Gilligan's Island. We always watch Bonanza as a family.
Bonanza.
And Gunsmoke. My dad liked Gunsmoke. Yeah. And Combat.
Yeah.
It was a platoon of Army guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the dinosaurs where they went back in Valley of the Dinosaurs.
Oh,
do you remember it was on Saturday mornings?
I remember the show. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, but anyway. Well, so we did get off topic. Apologize.
We got off topic, but we had some fun.
Yeah, but when we return after this break, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about becoming a master coach. And one quote for you guys to listen to is, the time that leads to mastery is dependent on the intensity of your focus.
I like that.
So if you want to really get good at something, which we want all of our business leaders to become great coaches, it's not about us having these secret ingredients where we're using them on people. We want to teach people to become great coaches. That's one of our goals.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
You know, Peg and I were laughing at this poor gentleman. Luckily, they don't have this Australian gentleman's or woman's name in the paper. But there was a conference,
Yes.
There was a meeting in HR about this incident.
Well, like you said, you go, I never thought, we're talking about the runaway train. And I said, oh, that guy got in trouble.
I mean, can you imagine like 40 or 50 rail cars full of ore tipping over in the desert? I mean, how much is that going to cost to pick them all up and put them?
Well, not to mention like the damage to the train.
Oh, all of that. It's going to be millions of dollars. So that's not cool.
Okay, so
that's a nightmare.
Let's move on to the master coach, because we're having a lot of fun with talking about silly stories, which are the train.
One of the things that we talk about a lot is employee engagement, Peg. So here's a statistic for you. Gallup's latest global survey showed that as few as 13% of employees describe themselves as truly engaged in their work.
13%.
13%.
And this is from the book that we're talking about, guys. Yeah. And we've seen this before, though. We've heard this statistic before.
It almost sounds a little depressing. I mean, that's like, wow.
Right.
So 87%, if my math is correct, are not really engaged.
And so us as managers and leaders, our job is to, and as your coaches, as Pete and I are here, what are you going to do to make sure you turn that around to be engaged?
And one of the things we remind people of is that one of the reasons our standard of living has continued to dramatically increase every decade is because of productivity improvements. If we help this 13% become less, right, or more higher, we want more people to be engaged. If we can reduce the amount of disengagement in companies, we're going to improve productivity, because all that brain power and talent and innovation is not happening because people are engaged. And if we can help that, we're going to raise all of our standards of living.
And what's fun is when Pete and I start coaching your company and we come in, you're going to see a huge benefit financially from it, just because of things like, hey, have you figured out how engaged they are and what we can do to change that number?
What are you doing about it?
And think of all the production you can get out of the resources that you have right now that you're not getting. And training and coaching is one of the top ones.
Yeah, if you think about your employees, let's say you have 100 employees. If you have the big group in the middle, the 60% of them that are not really engaged, your superstars are people that are just going to perform no matter what they're doing. They're just going to keep doing it.
Right.
You got a few that maybe shouldn't be there. And then you've got the vast majority of them that are minimally or not actively engaged. And that's what this is saying, is there's only 13% that are really, truly focused on the pursuit of the work every day.
I want to I know we're diving into the different strategies, but I want to tell you a case study that's happening with one of the clients that Pete and I and Michelle are working with. So we have a client who, when they brought us on, they said, you know what, I know me as a manager, as a leader, I've been allowing a lot of behavior. I know I'm allowing stuff that I shouldn't. And because of it, guess what happens? What you allow gets done that way.
Uh-huh.
So, and then
it becomes a cultural norm.
It becomes a cultural norm, and you keep pushing the envelope. You keep pushing the envelope. You keep pushing the envelope. Things like,
you mean the people that are taking advantage of situations? Or
so here's one. We have one employee that started bringing their child to work. One day, nothing was said. 2 days, nothing was said. 3 days a week, nothing was said. 4 days.
Okay.
So we have that.
Pretty soon they bought the dog and the cat. And...
Right. And then we have the other one that doesn't really follow the systems, because it's not what they want to do. We have another one who's a little crabby and yells at everyone. Right. And as I'm talking to you and you're listening to this, you're like, oh my gosh, is she talking about my company?
How did she know this?
How did she know about that? Because this is what happens in companies, and this is how we as leaders allow it. So it was really good. And we were talking, and he goes, Peg, when I'm working with you guys, with you and Pete and Michelle, what I know I need to do is turn this around. And I need to make sure that my team is engaged, and they're engaged in a way that I want it. I want them to follow the procedures that were written down. Yeah. I want them to not bring in their kids to
You need to be
work.
the leader, and you need to take ownership for how it got there.
Right.
And then turn the ship a bit.
And that's what we're doing. Now, it took us a while to get there.
Right.
So we're turning the ship right now. We're turning the ship. Cool. But you need to set the standard of what you want first.
Right. Yeah. So that's one of our goals, is to increase engagement. Right. As much as possible. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that this author, I like this book, again, is the Master Coach. Greg Thompson is the author, and Peg and I do this all day long, so we know this material. It's just the way he says it is really good. And he said, from the basketball court to the boardroom, coaching is the most important element. Everybody's got good talent, usually. When they start with your company, you hire them for a reason.
Right.
But if they start developing improper habits, or usually what happens is they become disengaged over time.
Right.
And that's really what our leaders need to be working against and helping to prop that up.
Yeah, I like that. I like that engagement. And we have another company. And a lot of times when you're going to reset, so you're listening, you're going, I know you're talking about me. And I know
and we're not.
I know this is describing me. Well, what we want you to do is do a reset, right?
Yes,
we
absolutely.
need you to do a reset. And a reset means apologizing. Allowing and taking ownership and saying, guys, I know I did this. What should we do? Let's get this.
Well, and here's a great example. Last week, we had a gentleman who's the president of this relatively large company with about 300 to 400 employees total, and he found out that one of the managers had not followed a procedure, and it was egregious. It was a pretty big error.
Right.
And it was conscious. It wasn't a mistake. It was a conscious, I'm going to go do this.
Right.
And it was wrong.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about it ahead of time, but he took some disciplinary action. And then we also talked about him talking to the whole group to say, look, guys, we may have allowed this stuff in the past. We can't.
It's a new day.
It's a new day. It's a new start. If I have led you to believe that it's okay to do that, I'm taking ownership for it. I apologize. I won't do that in the future. And I expect you guys to just handle it.
We're resetting.
Resetting, yeah. And raise your bar back up where it should be.
I like that.
So one of the things he states in here is coaching is a powerful interpersonal process that stimulates and equips a person to perform at a higher level while accelerating their development. So it's about performance and development. And how can you care any more about a person than help them develop?
And it was interesting about the development. So one of the things, we were with a company and we were talking about what would be a key performance indicator as a manager that you should have. And we were just like brainstorming. And here's one thing I want to tell you all. And again, this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk. We are business coaches. Today we're talking about the Master Coach, and we're giving you ideas and strategies as a manager and a leader that you can apply in your business. And one of them is this. Have you sat down with your leader, manager, or peer, whatever it is,
employees,
and you say, and so we were brainstorming and we said, you know what we're going to do is one of the key performance indicators we're going to measure to see if you're really doing a good job manager is how many people that report to you, direct reports, are getting promoted.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And where are they getting promoted to? And what does that look like? And how are they doing? Because it's the development. That's a true leader's developing others, right?
Being a great leader means, if you get to the pinnacle of it, is really you're attracting great people and you're helping them to become great leaders, and you're growing people.
Right.
To the limit of their abilities.
Right. And sometimes that might mean that you lose them. If you're in a company with different departments.
Right.
I remember that I worked in a large company before being a business coach, and I remember some of the department managers didn't want you to be stolen because you were so good. They wanted you to stay within your department, and that is not the way we want you to think.
Well, and one of Action Coach's 14 points of culture is abundance. And even if that employee leaves your company, if you've helped develop them to the point where they have a great career in a different company and they prosper because of what you've taught them or helped them to break a bad habit or gain a new habit, that's a good thing too.
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds a little counterintuitive, but we actually want to be helping people all the time. And if it turns out that because of your help, a person actually decides, you know what, I should go over here and work, and they have a great career over there, you should be happy for that too.
Right, exactly.
You know, which sometimes we don't think of it that way.
I like that. So part of engagement is development.
Yes.
So
Right.
just to break it down, we're talking about increasing engagement of your team. One of the strategies would be training and development coaching.
Yes.
And that's why, if you are interested in having a coaching session with Pete or myself, give us a call at
614-306-7922.
and we'll do a complimentary session with you on the phone just for a little bit to see if it makes sense to talk anymore. But I'm telling you, you should be, if you are listening to this and you are not being coached or trained, you should give us a call.
Other than you, Alan.
Yes. And we do have a program, Pete, that I want to talk about. It's called Developing the Leader, Your Leadership. And it's a group program, training program for
Starting
leaders.
in January.
It's starting in January. And we do a once a month. We're going to have about 10 to 15 people, leaders, and they're from different companies.
Right.
And we're going to talk about leadership development and training and coaching. But then 2 weeks after that, we actually do a coaching session with that person.
With each individual.
Because, training is great and it's necessary, but it's not sufficient enough for a behavior modification. Right. That's why we do it. We call it a training coaching program because it's both. Right. It's the application and it's the training.
A lot of times you go to a workshop or a seminar or read a book even, and you get excited about it, but within a few weeks or maybe a few months, the information's gone, and if the habits haven't changed, you really haven't made significant progress. So that's really what this is about. It's about sustained improvement in leadership ability. And if you're interested in that, give us a call, 614-306-7922.
Well, and I want to talk about what the cost is. It's $500 per month per person.
Right.
So it's a relatively easy fee for a big, impactful program.
Right.
So, okay.
So, other point, coaching is a way of being, not doing. It's about your thought process. And part of, we want you leaders out there to be thinking about, I want to figure out how to help this person to the best of my ability, this employee, this coworker, this client even, or supplier to yours. Sometimes we help our suppliers to get better too by teaching them things. So we're not human beings. We're not human doings.
We're human beings, yes.
Right? So we want to be doing the right things, but we want to be thinking positively in how can we help this person to get better.
I like that. Okay.
Anybody can develop into a great coach. Okay. Now, some of the next things that you're going to like, Peg.
Okay, I'm ready.
We're going to talk about these bullet points. What a coach is and what a coach is not.
Oh, I'm liking this.
All right, get ready for this, man.
I'm ready.
A coach is not a friend. What? A coach is not a friend. As a coach, you may be friendly, but you're not a friend.
You're a coach.
Yep.
You're there to get results.
The coach wants the best from those he or she is coaching.
Right.
You want to get the best out of them. Your job is to hold them accountable, challenging them, and push them to help them grow. And it's not always being friendly.
But I want to also caution, it also isn't meaning that you have to be a jerk, because Pete and I have coached other coaches in the world that we're teaching on how to be a coach, and sometimes they're under the impression that a coach has to be tough, and I'm going to be in your face, and I'm going to be and they could take it too far, and I've seen that. Right. You want to be compassionate. Right. And hold accountable.
You can be assertive without being a jerk.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
You really can.
Do we have time for one more?
Yes, we do. We'll give it to you, and then we'll talk about it when we get back. A coach is not a consultant. We are not consultants. Some consultants may be coach-like, but a coach has a very different role than a consultant.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
So we're talking about becoming the master coach, which we really want all of you leaders and managers out there and business owners to become.
Well, and I guess when Pete and I are working with organizations, and we come in and we stay with you a long time, not because we're under contract, but because the impact is so great, that what we're doing is teaching you how to be a coach and teaching your managers. It's like a training. Like, we had to learn. We didn't just say, "Hey, I'm going to be a coach," and here I am. I mean, we had to go through a process. And
what's
a
that little thought about? In order to really master something, you need to do it for 10,000 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we've got 20,000 or plus hours.
Plus, yeah, but it really does, and it's trial. Some of it's trial and error. And a lot of it is what we're doing here with books is we read a lot, and we go to conferences to learn from speakers and people that have been through different situations. And
we teach you to be a coach.
Right. And sometimes you have to hear it from several different people before it finally clicks and you go, wow,
now I get
that person got through to me, and I really get it now.
Mm-hmm.
So we as coaches want to make sure that we're pushing people beyond their personal limitations. And there are times when we have to help them expand their comfort zone. And we're going back to the second point. Now, the first point was a coach is not a friend. It doesn't mean that we're not friends with our clients, because sometimes very close friendships result from being someone's coach. Mm-hmm. That happens and is happening. And the next one, though, is coach is not a consultant. So you're not someone there to write a procedure and say, use this procedure, I'll see you later. Or big book, manual.
It's about having, it's about, I always like to say, sustained behavior modification over a long period of time that delivers great results.
Right. Whereas a consultant may come in and provide analysis and recommendations how to fix a problem or close a gap and seize an opportunity. They tell you what to do, and then they split. And that's a little bit different. And what we're doing is helping business owners and managers and leaders develop opportunities, figure out what are the different ways that you could take advantage of this opportunity, good or bad. It could be an opportunity for a positive thing, or it could be fixing a problem, and then help them choose what are the ways that I'm actually going to go implement, and then make sure they actually implement it.
I love it. That's
sense?
Exactly it. Dead on.
Okay. Next one. You're going to like this one, Peg.
I'm
Not
ready.
that you've ever done this, but a coach is not a therapist or a counselor.
Sometimes you get pulled into that, though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
You're coaching a person. Now you're helping to improve a business, but you're coaching a person.
Well, and I think what the spirit of that is, I don't want to get into the baggage of your past. I always say, whatever happened before this moment, let's not get into that. Let's talk about what from this moment on.
Right. And we do at times, and this actually happened with me within the last month or so. One of our clients started to see a therapist, which is really awesome because they needed it. And I was really honest saying, look, this area, you need some help other than mine.
Right.
For this. And they do it.
And as a manager.
And actually, I can already see that it's a great relief.
And as a manager or a leader, I'm sure you get involved with a lot of the issues of your employees and your team members.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They have things going on at home, or they can't get to sleep at night, or all kinds of things, right? Because we all go through phases like that.
And this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk. We're going through a master coach.
A master coach.
And talking a little bit about how to get to that level for you.
Yep.
Okay.
We use similar tools that as a therapist. However, we're really working on improving a business through an individual and helping them to grow as a manager, leader, employee.
Right. And then working with their team as well.
Right.
In order to make that happen.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, next one. A coach is not a mentor.
Oh gosh, this is right from our. we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And what we say is a coach can be a consultant at times, can be a mentor at times.
Sure.
But overall, they're a coach.
Mentoring typically takes place between someone with greater experience and knowledge in a particular field and someone that's newer to the field. So they may be giving stories or experience or even really specifics about how a situation was handled in the past, to demonstrate to someone, this is what we did. This is how we did it. The coach, on the other hand, what we want to do is open an inquiry, and really it's about asking great questions.
Correct.
And asking questions to the point where the person you're working with realizes that, oh, wow, there's a couple of ways I can handle this.
Right.
Two obvious ways.
Mm-hmm.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of each way, and which one do I think I'll actually follow through and be successful at? Mm-hmm. Picking it and then saying, okay, what's the first step in that direction? What are you going to do?
Okay, I like that.
You're going to like this one, Peg. So the next one, a coach is not a teacher.
Oh, interesting. Well, because what we say, we believe that coaching always starts with education first. So we believe that, this book master is that we must first know, we're going to be teaching you concepts and ideas that you might not know. You're going to be reading a book. You're going to be learning new strategies to increase your beliefs. And the bigger your beliefs increase, the bigger your dreams increase, the better actions you're going to take.
And a classical teacher-student relationship is a one-directional connection in which the teacher imparts information to the student. I always think back to when I was in grade school or middle school.
No, it's a discussion.
You're supposed to sit there and sit still and just listen.
Oh, no,
and I'm
in
going
that
to talk
concept,
to you all day.
I do agree with
yeah.
that. No. It's we are learning, we are growing and learning.
And the best learning usually comes from when you ask a great question and the person goes, oh.
Right.
That's a great idea.
But you do, as you're coaching, you only, and we did this whole thing. We went to a client out of Indiana the other day. Pete and I did a couple weeks ago, and we talked about to the team, you have to learn before you earn. So if you want to earn more money, then what are you going to learn? And that does sometimes take a teacher, but it's not in the classic format of you'll learn and sit still.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Right. I'm giving you these pearls of wisdom. Now you have to use them.
Go ahead.
All right. So the next things, now we're going to move on a little bit. There's 3 big dimensions of coaching, and they start with a C.
Okay, what are the dimensions?
Alan's thinking, number 1, character.
Okay.
You have to have great character. Put simply, character is about you, who you are as a human being, and the qualities you possess to convince others to trust you.
Correct.
You do have to have a sound basis of trust, or you're not going to get anywhere.
What has to be competence? Is competence in there?
Well, absolutely not.
It's not? Okay, because we always say trust is earned by competence, character.
But character really is about integrity, healthy self-esteem, noble intention. And noble intention meaning I want the best for this person.
Right.
And this organization, right?
So we want you to possess this as a coach for your company. Okay, what's the other C?
You've got to exhibit great character. You have to have a connection with this person. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
But there was another one that you mentioned that was not.
Competence.
Competence. I mean, yeah.
Because we say the 3 C's to trust are character, connection, and competence.
There you go.
So
it's a little different, but that's okay. This is good. All significant change occurs through the medium of your relationship with the person you're coaching.
You have to have connection.
If you have a strong relationship and you've got to build at different speeds and different ways with different people, that's the other part of it that makes it fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of these coaching sessions are identical with all our different clients. And even within the individual clients, one week, they had a great thing happen at work, and the next week they're challenged with something. So
absolutely,
it's it keeps it interesting. But we want to make sure that we have a great connection with this individual, and part of the job is to ensure the relationship is established before we seriously can get anything done through the coaching process.
Well, it takes trust and connection in order for you to share.
And we talked about this on our TV show the other day, is that you can't be an aloof manager and expect fantastic results or huge engagement from your team. You can't be one of those people.
And again, we're going after engagement. And if you do want to go to our website, you can go to actioncoachcolumbus.com and go on 98.9, and then
you can see past shows.
You can listen
by topic.
Yeah, you
right?
can. It's 2 things. You can listen to some of our past shows in addition to our TV show with NBC4.
And the show is called Daytime Columbus, right?
Right. Correct.
Okay.
What's the other C?
All right. So the last C is conversation, is the dialogue that you have with your coach or your coaching client, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got to be able to communicate and have a conversation that may actually get into risky territory, because a lot of what we do is help people to push their comfort zones and expand their comfort zones. And I'm just thinking this past week, I've had several conversations where the person's like, oh, this is going to be challenging. Like, okay, that's where the progress is made, right?
Correct.
When we sit down with a coworker, employee, or somebody in another department, and it's a challenging conversation, it's what we would call a crucial conversation or a high-stakes conversation, and that's where the gold is. And we've got to have a great conversation with our coaching client in order for them to learn to get out of their comfort zone and have that tough conversation with that coworker or employee.
And here's one idea for your development. If you want to go to actioncoachcolumbus.com and click on, have them listen to some of these shows. Have them watch. I mean,
your employee.
Yeah, the TV.
Oh, yeah.
The TV interviews are 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, we're not asking now. These, the radio shows, our archive shows, are going to obviously be a little longer, but
and they're fantastic too.
Of course, they're chock filled with strategies
and you
ideas.
actually get to see us instead of just
yes.
Right. So we're going to continue. We're going to talk about the Master Coach and how you can become a Master Coach, and that all of you that are running businesses and managing departments in whatever size company you have, that we want you to become great coaches. That's really one of our goals as coaches, is to help develop hundreds of other coaches around the city and really around the Midwest.
I really like that. Absolutely. And so
Yeah, in the East, you got a couple. Well, we've got a client in New Jersey, and you have one in Virginia as well.
we have one in Indiana, Virginia, Texas, 2 in New Jersey, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all
or
over.
Michigan.
Yes,
Or
depending.
us Ohioans here.
So when we return, we're going to pick back up on this and finish up with strategies and ideas on how to make you a fantastic master coach.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
All right, so we're talking today about the Master Coach. And, if anybody needs any iron ore, there's some laying on the desert floor in Western Australia. And I'm sure there's a few pounds that you could just pick up, and they probably wouldn't care. You have a little dust.
We had a runaway train.
Alan was dusting off a piece of iron ore.
You have to clean it off a little bit.
You have to clean it off. Clean the sand off of it a little bit. But there's a couple pounds of it out there for you.
Oh, my goodness. Okay,
so the next thing
Yes.
that all master coaches are able to do is to suspend judgment. Peg, think about that for a minute. I know you've got some examples of where you've got to sit for a minute and go, holy cow, that happened. And you can't judge, right? Or somebody has their feelings hurt by a coworker. And we've had a couple of these in the last couple of weeks. This person did this with this email. And it really, I was so angry, I was going to blah, blah, blah. And you've got to go, oh, man, well, why did they feel that way?
Right.
You got to ask the right questions to figure out, well.
And as a leader, you're setting the tone. And we always, and it's interesting, as you're coming on as a client, one of the things Pete and Michelle and I always say is, you know what, we're not going to judge you. We just want to know what's happening so we can help you. There's no judgment.
Right. And we don't want to judge that person in the other department
Right.
who took offense at something. Well, why would they feel that way? Let's try to figure out, why did that person take it that way?
And we talk about a quadrant called I'm okay, you're okay.
Uh-huh.
And it's a quadrant that we're not going to, it's a non-judgmental quadrant of your world that allows you to have peace of mind and maintain and build great relationships through empathy and understanding and not reacting emotional. And that is being a great coach.
Right.
Okay.
And sometimes it's against your instinct. You want to say, oh, that person's just he's a nut.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But you know what? There's a reason for why they act the way they do. And we want to be able to understand that reason and figure out what can we do in the environment, the work environment, to help make a more positive environment and help people to not go to the dark side as often.
Okay, what's the next one?
Next one, optimism. You might have an opinion on that one. So we as coaches tend to be very optimistic. We want to do things that take care of ourselves so that we stay positive. And a lot of our clients really need that. When they have that time with us, they need it.
And it's interesting, a couple things I want to go on here with this optimism. And again, this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk, and we're talking about being a master coach, a great coach as a manager and a leader. And being optimistic, it was funny. I talked to Allie and Lauren, and I said, no matter what you do as a parent, now Allie is 17 and Lauren is 14, and I'm giving them pearls of wisdom. And I'm like, people want to be around happy people. And if they don't, then that's
even
a different
if
issue.
they're unhappy.
Right. Even if they're unhappy, they want to be around happy people. So what are you going to do to be that energy, that optimistic person that people gravitate to? And it's what people need and want. And so, and then the other thing I love is Pete says, they generally don't make, this is you, Pete. I'm quoting you. They usually don't put up statues of negative people. Unless you are
a dictator.
Yeah, who says, I'm going to. But generally, you're not going to have a negative statue, right?
Usually not. Right.
Not usually, because optimism
he was a great whiner.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He was always looking at the glass is half empty. That, he was really inspirational.
They don't have that statue in the park, right?
So optimism is really important.
Right.
Yes.
Purveyors of hope.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we are. And it's an attitude that's infectious.
Well, and it's interesting because you as the coach are seeing in your teammates, because we see in others their possibilities more than they see themselves.
Oh, true.
We know their greatness more than they know their greatness. And your job as a coach and as a leader is to make sure that they can strive to be the best they can be.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And about situations is helping them to say, you know what, there are some ways that this situation could get even worse. However, there are a lot of ways that it could get a lot better. Mm-hmm. And boy, what would it be like when that situation is much better than it is today?
Correct.
And how are we going to get there?
Right.
What are the 4 ways we could get there? And then what are we going to do? What are we going to go act on? This is Peg and Pete with Business Talk. And we're talking about becoming a master coach, which we all want all of you to do.
Okay, what's the next little nugget?
Next one, you'll like this one, a spirit of curiosity.
Oh, that's always asking why, which of course I get in trouble.
Oh my goodness.
I'm the most curious
you're
person.
like 99.9% curious.
I've always I was getting on my parents' nerves. I remember growing up.
Why?
Well, yeah, because I always had to know why, and even to this day, I'm still asking why, and I don't do. And here's a thing that we learned from Negotiate Like Your Life Depends on It. Chris Voss.
Chris Voss, yeah.
And he says, be careful how often and how you say the word why.
Why is that?
I
Peg?
learned a lot from that because when you say, well, why are you doing that? I say it in the interest of curiosity as the coach. It can come across as putting the other person on defensive. Like, well, what do you mean why?
Well, sometimes the person hearing that might go, do you think I'm stupid? I don't know. I mean,
right.
yeah.
So your approach to the curiosity of the why needs to be in a good way so that it doesn't put the person on defensive.
Gotcha.
So that they stay open.
And as human beings, we create habits to get ourselves through the day, right? To save energy and get things done efficiently. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just do things because that's how we handle those kind of things.
Right.
And it's so automatic that we haven't even thought about the why.
Right.
So if you get asked why, it could irritate you sometimes.
It can irritate people, yes.
Okay. So the spirit of curiosity, we want coaches to be looking at people as mysteries to be uncovered rather than problems to be solved.
I like that.
Good. We want to understand. It's a fundamental coaching competency. It's a prerequisite to changing,
to
helping people change. So we've got to be curious. If you're not, and this applies to being a great salesperson as well, no matter what you're selling, services or products, is you want to be extremely curious to figure out, well, what situation is this person and their business actually in? And am I actually the best company or individual to help them?
I like it.
And if you're not, you gotta carry on and go somewhere else. But you've got to be fascinated by it. If not, then maybe you don't want to lead a large group of people.
Right.
So.
That's true. It might not be what you get energized by, and that's okay.
Yeah. So good?
Good.
Great.
All right. So as we're looking at this, we're talking about the master coach and truly being a great coach. And Pete and I are using this book, but really this is everything that we do. This is when we go into companies. Yeah. How do we teach other managers and leaders to be great coaches?
Well, and I think over the years, and again, we've been doing this for 14 years, is I've realized that our job is, yes, to get as immediate as we can results from the person we're working with, or maybe the department we're working in, or the company we're working in. But we're also trying to develop capacity in other people as quickly as possible. We want to help that person become a great mentor, coach, and advisor for their own people and even their own family.
Well, and I think what you just said is creating capacity within the team. And one of the reasons that we come into companies is because we're leveraged for you, because we're going to get you there farther and faster to help people get better. Quicker.
That's the goal.
And so if you're interested in talking to us, give us a call. Give Pete. We'll give you his number, and you can set up a conversation. And Pete, what's the number to call?
It's 614-306-7922.
Okay. Now let's get back to some of the strategies.
Okay. And again, it's becoming the master coach. The 7 characteristics of a coaching culture. So if you have a firm, department, and you want to make sure that we're constantly developing, here's 7 things that you really need to focus on. 1, personal and organizational learning is greatly valued.
There's that
Couldn't
learning.
agree more.
I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier.
The number 1 item on here.
It's learning. It's when he said, I'm not a teacher, and I was like, wait a minute, that's all we do is learn. Coaching's about learning. Well, he meant that format.
The classic format of one-way communication.
Teacher,
yeah, it's not that.
It is.
So number 1 characteristic is personal and organizational learning.
And I want to talk to you guys about this. I want you listening. So if Pete and I are your coach, of course you know this, but one of the things when we sit down is we say, okay, what are you doing to develop your people, and what is your plan? Like, what are you teaching them? What books are you learning?
What percentage of the time do people say, well, we don't really have one?
100.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's not 90-something. It's 100.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of anybody.
Pretty rare.
Yeah, it's extremely rare. So as you're listening, if there's nothing you take back, it's what is your development plan of learning?
Well, and the stats that he mentions, and it's consistent with the things that we read in the news about engagement. 13% of the United States workforce is truly engaged in their work. Right? So I believe it.
Yeah.
That
most people
don't do it.
No. Okay. So what's
number 2 of these 7 characteristics, people are excited about their personal and professional development opportunities. That's part of our culture. If we have that in our culture, we've got a great coaching culture.
I like it. I like it.
Number 3, your leaders are seen as trustworthy, selfless, and competent. In other words, it's not all about them. And
love that.
They're good at what they do, and they will do what they say they're going to do.
I like that. That's dead on.
Number 4, I like this one. Promises are readily made and faithfully kept.
You know how important that is? That is and that goes back to what you said before. Do what you say you're going to do. That's where we have trust. Trust is broken down in organizations when you consistently miss a deadline, consistently say I'm going to do something and not. Yeah. It's critical to building a great relationship, and it's actually one of my biggest values. Well,
and it's actually good for all of you leaders out there, managers, owners of companies, to make your commitments, make fewer commitments, but the ones you do make sure you follow through on them. And if you can't, let everybody know, hey, we're not doing this. We said we were. Here's the obstacle, or here's the reason we're not, and we're not doing it.
I like it.
Make everybody know. Okay, so promises are readily made and faithfully kept. 5, difficult conversations are routine. This is a great one.
That is a good one.
Great teams. I'm thinking of sports teams now. Mm-hmm. Tough conversations are the rule of the day. The military does after action reports. They had a firefight, a battle. After they get back, they immediately talk about, well, what happened? How could we have done this a little better? What if this had happened when this happened and you did this? Mm-hmm. What if you'd done that instead? Even though it might be uncomfortable for people, they talk about it because people's lives depend on it.
I like it.
Difficult conversations are routine, so we want you guys to be comfortable with that. Number 6, people delight in the success of others. So we're happy when our coworkers achieve great things.
That is true. That is good. We want to engage and support each other in everything we do.
And then the last one, number 7, is well-intentioned feedback flows freely throughout the team or organization.
Which would also mean that you have an organization of trust, because feedback is. It was interesting that we were in Virginia with a client earlier this week, and I told them, I go, we talked to your team, and they readily gave us feedback, and they weren't fearful.
That's great. That doesn't always happen.
I said, you have a great culture, and when you have that feedback, it allows us all to get better, and trust is created.
So we've been talking about The Master Coach. There's a great book by Greg Thompson, and a lot of the things in this book, we are very much on board. And actually, Peg Marshall Goldsmith did the introduction to the book.
He did.
We've seen him speak a couple of times, and he's excellent.
Marshall Goldsmith,
he's written some
one
of
our favorites.
Great books.
Yeah, he's written 3 different or 4 different books. So.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.